something going on in the woods of Wisconsin. It isn't Bigfoot, but it is a mysterious beast, and enough people have seen it to know it exists. What is it?
Wisconsin, America's Dairyland. 65,000 square miles of Earth that can be divided into 5 geographic regions. The Western Uplands, the Eastern Ridges and Lowlands, the Central Plain, the Northern Highland, and the Lake Superior Lowland. With nearly 6 million residents, Wisconsin is no stranger to hundreds of eyewitness accounts of a terrifying cryptid researchers have named the Wisconsin werewolf. The werewolf resembles a very large wolf, averaging 5 to 7 feet tall, and walking on its hind legs. There have been numerous sightings in rural areas across the state. However, the bulk of these are in the eastern ridges and lowlands. The first documented sighting was in 1936, east of Jefferson. Mark Shackleman reported a wolf man digging around in a Native American burial mound. Throughout the 80s and 90s is when the sightings really picked up. Just outside of Elkhorn, along Bray Road, is Wisconsin's most infamous sighting, known as the Beast of Bray Road. With the recent formation of the North American Dogman Project, a network of researchers are working together to help solve the mystery of the Wisconsin werewolf.
Spent a lot of my youth out here. Avon Bottoms here is about almost 4,000 acres of public hunting ground, so we do a lot of hunting out here, which kind of ties into what we were doing out here late at night for a few of the incidences that happened. I will start, it was early 2000, I want to say around 2003, and my friend and I were raccoon hunting, and we pulled into a parking lot, and we noticed something at the edge of the parking lot in the scrub brush and the saplings. So we loaded our shotguns, walked over to it, and noticed that it was a cat that had been impaled on a branch, and it was probably about 6 feet or so in the air. And it was kind of troubling. It's not something you ever see. And it was pretty disturbing, kind of sad. Well, I remember looking at it and it looked like it was wet, and I remember touching it, and it was saliva, like it was being chewed on, probably just prior to us getting there, and that kind of freaked me out. I thought maybe coyotes were jumping up trying to grab it or whatever. Maybe somebody put it there as bait to hunt. Not really sure. So my friend and I got in the back of the truck, grabbed our spotlights, and we started shining the surrounding trees in the area. And then the moment we started shining across the road, up in the trees, we saw a set of eyes. It's an eye shine. And I'd say they were about that far apart. I mean, no joke, they were, that was very noticeable. Raccoon's eyes are completely, a lot shorter distance.
What color would you say?
I'd say yellow, like most animals. And I got that feeling like something was wrong. Something wasn't right about it. That feeling like you're not alone in the dark or something like that, and your hair stands up. And my friend Ryan had also gotten that feeling, and there was just this moment of silence, and I could barely, as it moved, it started to move and turn away from us, so we just saw one eye and then no eyes, and I saw this huge silhouette coming down the tree. And I would judge it, and I'm a big guy. I'm about 6'3", 300 pounds. It was a lot bigger than me. And it made this horrible crashing noise, breaking all these branches coming down out of the tree, and then a big thud when it hit the ground. And then it took off running. And it was kind of strafing the road, running parallel with the road. And then it got on the road, and that's when we could hear it running through the woods in the leaf litter. And then when it hit the road, it was toop, 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 and it just faded out.
Would you say on two legs or four
definitely
legs?
On 2 legs. It was bipedal.
Okay.
I, for the longest time, thought maybe a black bear, but all the videos I've seen, and I have a biology background at UW colleges. I have a degree in studied wildlife ecology and biology in all the years I went to UW, and I can honestly say all the videos I've looked for, everything I've studied on it, there's no black bear that can run that fast, not even close. On their hind legs, they can maybe do about 5 miles an hour, And this thing was moving. That really scared me more than anything, is how fast it moved, how fast it came out of this tree and then took off running through the woods and then onto the road. And it was.
But you couldn't see it really because it was dark, right?
It was dark, and it's a really thick wooded area. I mean, you can see behind me, it's really thick. So you just make out kind of a shadow, like a silhouette, and that's all you could see. And it had to have been really dark in color, like a dark brown or black, something of that nature. Because all I could see was just this silhouette, this large silhouette, like a giant person just booking it through the woods. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what is that? Like, what did we just see? And my buddy says, do you think that was a person? And at that moment, I just said, people's eyes don't reflect in light like that at night. I mean, let's just get out of here now. And we booked it. We got out of there. I think we were spooked for quite a while, actually. And, we had 12-gauge shotguns loaded with buckshot.
But you're out here all the time. You have been since you were young, right?
Yes. I grew up hunting this area with my dad at a younger age. But by the time I was 16, 17 years old, I was coming out here with friends or by myself all the time. And I'd spent a lot of time out here by myself, even at night, out in the woods hunting. And
had you ever heard anything before that, or thought anything strange?
There were instances like stories, ghost stories, stories of the locals, kind of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Friday the 13th kind of vibe in the area.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Deliverance.
Yeah, it's a very scary area.
Yeah, it's
I would never come out here alone.
No, and for where it is located in the country, it's a pretty rugged area. I mean, they've had search and rescue out here to get hunters out of here. You can get lost. There's plenty of places to hide, and it's a watershed in a low-level area, like a swampy area, a lot of sloughs and backwaters. So, I mean, there's just plenty of places to hide or get lost. Getting into the second encounter,
okay,
right down the road next to the bridge, next to the river, there used to be an old road there, which they blocked off. There used to be another bridge there that was torn down decades and decades ago. Well, right there on that old road, people would drive and we would park and we'd fish right there in the river at campfire. So a friend of mine and I were fishing all night, a different friend, and we're sitting around next to the campfire on our buckets. We had everything packed up, and we were just, doing the safe thing, waiting for the fire to burn out, and make sure it was out before we left. And So we're just kind of sitting there staring at the fire.
Now, when was this?
This was about a year later.
Okay. So
Not very much longer afterward. Like, I would say if this first incident happened, I want to say in like late October or November, it was that following summer.
And what year was that about?
I want to say 2003 into 2004.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the first encounter was 03, if I remember right. Because I want to say I was 19 or 20 at the time. The second incident happened, we're sitting around this fire and completely silent, like no conversation, just kind of staring at the fire. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was no warning, there was no crashing through the woods, there was nothing. It was dead silent. Like you could hear a pin drop, and all of a sudden this horrible, like really low, guttural, snarling noise. It didn't sound like anything I've ever heard before in my life. It didn't sound like a bear. It didn't sound like a lion or a wolf or a dog or anything like that. It was just, I tried to mimic it. It's kind of like, just horrible, but like 10 times louder. Like,
And there's not supposed to be bear down here anyway.
it's very, yeah. I
you
mean,
might have the occasional, right?
it's an occasional thing.
Yeah.
Like passing through.
And you might have a cougar or two.
And they tend to be afraid of people.
Right.
I think for the most part, they're, going to run away from you.
And I've heard there might be a few wolves here, but not a lot.
No,
Right.
not very many. But I do remember hearing that, and my friend saw it. He actually turned and looked. And he looked at me, and I go, get in the truck. Just get in the truck.
Yeah.
We left our buckets there. We left the fire going. Like, we didn't even think twice. We just quick got in the truck, and, tires spinning. Made no hesitation to get out of there as quickly as possible. And it was very scary. It's like I can remember it almost as if it was like I could feel it on the back of my head.
It was kind of behind you?
It was right behind
So
me.
he saw it and you didn't turn around?
No, and to this day, I actually contacted him not too long ago, and I said, "You remember that night?" And as soon as I say, "You remember that night?" he goes, "I don't want to talk about it."
Yeah.
I'm like, "You saw something?" He's like, "I don't want to talk about it."
Oh my gosh.
And-
Did he ever tell you what it looked like?
No, he never told me.
He was
it's a
too
repressed
scared.
memory. Like, he doesn't ever want to remember what he saw. I can only imagine, from what I've seen, the depictions and artwork and whatnot. I would be just absolutely terrified if I had gotten a clear look at it, which kind of leads into this obsession I had afterwards, where I wanted to catch it. I always had a camera on me. I wanted to catch this thing on film.
Oh.
I wanted to see it. I wanted to clear view. There it is. And maybe
there's
have
no way.
proof.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, that was really stupid. Because a lot of the Dogman encounters, radio stuff that I've heard with Vic's interviews, and this thing is just terrifying, and nobody should ever provoke such an animal.
No.
If you want to call it that. To this day, I don't even know, like, it felt almost like I saw a ghost or something not of this world. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it seemed like it would be something of that nature. Just how it moves, how there's, it just kind of disappears, and I don't know. I have a lot of my own thoughts and theories on it, but it's been a very long time since that happened. What had happened was I was hunting by myself at night in the snow, full moon night or close to, really bright, like you didn't need a flashlight or anything like that to navigate through the woods. Fresh fallen snow was perfect. And I'm sitting with my collar, my predator collar, and a rabbit in distress call playing over and over and over, and then all of a sudden I hear something. And I turned it off, and all of a sudden, boom, this log at this down tree I was leaning on, there's a deer, jumps over the tree, like within feet of me. And I'm like, wow, it's just running down the trail. And then another deer behind it. And then a third deer. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? Like, they're running from something.
Right.
Like, they're being, you know, there's a predator. Kind of reminded me of the whole Jurassic Park scene where the Gallimimus dinosaurs are running away from the T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see the T-Rex and you're like, you know, they're being chased by a predator. Well, then I heard I'm assuming a fourth deer. And I hear this, like, kind of like a snap almost, and like a bleat, like a deer would make when it's injured. And, or you know, like I've heard what a deer, you know, sounds like when it's injured, if it's shot or something like that, and it's not killed immediately. But it was just boom like that, and then nothing, like no noise, no crunch in the snow, nothing. And then all of a sudden I hear this shh, like it's being dragged off into the woods.
Oh.
And I freaked out. Like, I'm thinking, and at this point I had seen the American Werewolf episode, the Beast of Bray Road stuff. The first two incidents, I had no clue. I was completely ignorant of the Dogman or the werewolf sightings. Had no clue. But that this third encounter, I was very well aware, and I completely freaked out and started running and very irresponsibly firing my gun behind me and my AR-15 and reloading and keeping firing as I'm running to my vehicle. And I get to my car and I went home. I told my dad. I called the DNR. They said they would go out and check. I went to my dad in the morning. And I don't think I slept much that night. He said, we got to go out there. Got to go out there. So we loaded up. Another friend of mine came with us. We walked out there, and it had been blowing, like, just terrible wind. So you couldn't really make out any tracks, but you could see blood. And you know, you kick away the snow. There was blood underneath there and a drag mark. And you could see just the little indentations of where the deer the hoof prints were. And then this drag mark and blood underneath, it was just a blood trail that wide just going off. And then all of a sudden there was a big tree, a couple big trees there. It's a kind of a low-lying area. And then it was just gone. Like,
did you see any other animal footprints?
What looked like a person maybe. And I thought, okay, somebody poached a deer out here in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. And now, mind you, you cannot park a vehicle out here in Avon Bottoms without somebody seeing it.
Right.
All the parking lots are right next to the road.
Right.
I didn't see any other vehicles out there.
Yeah.
Laura Davey,
And you live in what town?
Whitewater, Wisconsin.
Okay, and we just wanted to talk about what you've seen and when it was. Let's start there.
Okay, I'm trying to remember. It was about 8 years ago. It might have been 9. About this time of the year, maybe a little later, because it was like a little browner out. And I was driving home from the Delavan area on 89.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think, it was later in the day, so it was not dark, but sun setting, dusk.
And it was a little later in the year, you said, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
later in the year than this, but it's still no snow or anything.
Okay.
And there's still stuff growing, but it was brown. So I'm driving and always looking for deer, because you just look for deer all the time.
Right.
And just saw movement out of the side of my right side of the car. And okay, this really scared me because
Go ahead and speak just a little
Okay,
louder, because I'm not sure how well this records.
Thinking the movement is a deer, but then looking over and realizing it's like something that was down and went up really high and scared me really bad because I'm like, well, that's not a deer, and really furry, and kept pace with the car, and I slammed the brakes on the car because I didn't know what this was, and it looked like a big furry, huge bear wolf thing, but it had big ears like a wolf, and very, very tall. Then it went down, then I didn't know where it went, and next thing I know, I see like a shadow kind of in front of the car, and then saw something dart off on the other side of the road into the brush and crap, and I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a coyote or a bear.
Oh my gosh.
So that's, anyways, that makes me shake thinking about it.
I know, I would be too. I've never seen.
So that's the best explanation, as crazy as that sounds. Very dark furry thing.
So it was,
But
did you say it was
definitely
kind of
ears.
daylight?
Yeah, it wasn't dark, but it was like as...
Dusk, maybe?
Yeah, dusk.
Okay.
I mean, you could see. It wasn't dark by any means, but it was... Yeah.
So when you first saw it, it was on all fours, did you say?
Well, I don't know if it was actually on all fours.
Okay.
What I saw was a movement out the side and went what, and then realized it was like upright, not like a deer or something. So I don't know if it went like this, but it was a movement that went like that. You know, like all of a sudden there's this big tall thing, probably from here to, if you're on the road, like maybe 8 feet out from the car. I mean, close enough to the car to be, you can see it well, you know, fairly well.
Okay.
You know, and so I don't know.
Oh, I know,
No,
gives
I'm
you
sorry.
chills, does it? No, I don't blame you.
I'm sure it's very nice.
You're sure it was very nice
I'm sure
beast.
it's very friendly.
So when you saw it, and then you passed it by already, or you were still watching it?
When I first saw it, you know, I'm thinking a deer, I see something, I just slow down. So that's kind of your reaction, you're kind of breaking, slowing down.
because you're
So
thinking
I was
a deer is
still
coming.
moving,
Okay.
I was still going, but it
Okay.
was pacing me with the car.
Oh,
And that's what made me go, and so I slammed on the brakes, and then it went poof. And then it's like this big shadow goes in front of the car. And that's when I went, oh my God, that thing is huge. It's not like... So that's why I was like, first, you know, like you think, well, it's not a guy, but it's standing up. You know, and so it's freaking me out.
and then when it went in front of your car, it was pacing your car.
It was keeping up with the car.
Oh my God, how fast were you going?
Well,
Do you think
okay.
about? Because you were slowing down by then?
I mean, initially going down the road, probably like 50. Maybe
Okay.
not even that, because I'm pretty much a grandma driver.
Yeah.
And I am. And I am one of those people, when it's dark, I look for deer and stuff and make sure nothing can jump out. But I was going pretty fast. And then seeing that, and then you just kind of go, what? You know, looking to see if something's going to jump out. And then when it, you know, seeing that, and then kind of going, what the hell is that? Then I slammed on the brakes since I didn't know what to do, and then I got freaked out.
Oh, I would too.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
And then you think it went down?
It went
On all
definitely...
fours?
Well, something like when it was over here, when I slammed on the brakes, it went boom, down.
Okay.
And then, look at me, I'm shaking.
Oh.
And I'm, you know, like you kind of go, where'd it go? And then it went from the car. And I'm in a car I was in the SUV,
Oh,
so I'm sitting up fairly high anyways. And, I mean, you could see the shape of it, you know, over the grill, the cattle, what is that guard thing on the car? You can see the shape, it was that high.
so it was taller than,
It was, when it's down, it was that tall.
it was taller than your car, the
It's
front part of your
the front
car,
part of my
when it
car,
was down on all fours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was, and that's when you could see things. And as it went off that way, you could definitely see. It's like it was. I don't know how to describe it. It was a big furry thing, and it was huge.
And what did
Furry
you
thing.
think?
And
Oh,
you could see the ears as it's going off. You could see them clear.
how big do you think the ears were? If you were to compare them to a dog's ears, maybe, or a wolf,
Oh,
or
no, bigger than a dog's ears. They were much. It's like bigger. It was the whole thing was bigger. It was like if you look at I don't know, like it looked like a wolf, kind of a head, a wolf dog head thing, but like the size of a big bear with a wolf head on it. You know, I mean, that big. So it wasn't. it wasn't like something you could mistake for a dog.
Right,
Or a coyote. It wasn't. It was that much larger.
Right.
But yeah,
And what color are you thinking it was?
very dark.
Just dark?
black, brown, very, very dark. So
Hair or fur all
very
over?
hairy. The whole thing.
The whole
Fairly-
thing?
Yeah.
About how long do you think the hair was? All same length all over?
It
Different
was shaggy,
lengths?
Shaggy.
Shaggy, okay.
So, but long, not like longer than like bears are, like kind of the same all over, much longer than that, more like a, I think of an example, more like, I don't know,
Like maybe 4 inches long or
yeah.
Something like
shaggy
that?
long, like a really shaggy
all over?
dog would have here.
Okay.
Yeah, but all over. Yeah, the whole thing was like free. So
Did you see any
I
other?
did not see a tail. I didn't really
Okay,
notice.
okay.
So I
Did you
was
see the
pretty
legs?
Fixated on just that there's 4.
Right,
but,
right.
But no, it looked just long.
About how long do you think? When it was on all fours? What do you
On
think?
all 4s, seriously, I'm trying to gauge it as far as like, because it's the one in front of the car.
Was it as wide as a car?
Yes.
Or wider?
Probably maybe a little wider than the car because it's, I think, no, about as wide as the car.
And what kind of SUV do you have?
It's a Toyota Highlander or something like that.
Highlander?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it sits up fairly high and it has a big black cattle guard thing on it.
Okay, yeah.
Racy thing.
Yeah.
And this was as high. So
Its back
actually-
was?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
high, like about that. So that if that comes up a little bit in front of the
Right.
hood itself, so it's above that.
And then it was above that even
A little
still.
bit above that, yeah, because it was.
Oh my gosh. And did you notice if the head was way above that, or did you notice the head at that time?
No, I gotta say the head more, just as it went off that way, and it all looked pretty much, like if something's running, like it's at, the
Yes.
same,
Oh, mm-hmm.
like that, so.
And did it have, did you notice a muzzle? Like a dog muzzle? Did it
That's
stick
what
out or
that's what
long?
it
Or
looked like as, you see this thing over there, that's what it looked like as it kind of went like down, like it looked like a snout, kind of a
Right.
thing. So I was like, well, look,
Oh my God.
very furry bear.
Did you notice the back legs at all?
I didn't really notice, I just saw this thing run off
Yeah,
the headlights.
okay.
To be honest, it happened fast and I was terrified, so.
No, I know, I completely understand. Did you notice if the eyes were glowing or what
Did not
color?
notice
Okay.
that at all, I'll be honest, nothing.
And it was pacing your car.
But it was pacing my car when I first noticed it and went, I was like, what's that?
And how tall
fast.
were you thinking it was when it was
Well,
it was standing?
Well, okay, if I'm looking out the window, it's like a really tall person, like running along the side of your car, like out that far. So I'm thinking it's probably taller than that. It's out a ways,
Yeah.
but not a person. Furry thing. I was like, what the hell?
How did it run? I mean, did it
was
have
just like
a?
watching something kind of go. I don't know how to describe it because it was freaky.
It wasn't awkward.
No, not at all.
It was smooth.
It was almost like watching something just kind of
Oh,
like that, and then duck down, and then go in front of the car. It was just creepy.
did it look at you at any point? Did you
I
notice?
Didn't.
I know the feeling.
In fact, I'm thinking about it, and I went, because as I braked, I started to go off the road a little bit because I was, like, what the hell, what is that? Before it went in front of me, and but no, I can't say I saw eyes or anything. It was just so.
Fast.
It was so fast and it was so nothing I was expecting to see on the road.
Oh no, who
I
would?
was expecting to see Bambi.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, you were looking for deer, and we don't even
Maybe a
have
squirrel.
we don't even have bear here. I mean,
Well,
there
see,
may
I
be
don't
the
know
occasional bear,
Okay.
but not It would be 1 in a million.
My husband kept saying, there's no bear here. Well, maybe there is. I don't know.
Yeah, but no bear is going to be running alongside your car, pacing your car.
No.
You know, about how long do you think it paced your car? About how many seconds would you say?
Trying to think as you're driving along.
I know.
I don't know, maybe 5 to 7, something like that.
5, 6, 7
Probably-
seconds.
It seems longer to me. in my
Right.
head.
Well, yeah,
But I'm
forever.
actually thinking realistically as I'm driving and going, probably like 5 seconds, maybe not. You know, it was that fast.
Sometimes I wonder if they don't do that just to scare you.
Well, and I kept thinking, because this is, I mean, there's brush around. There's not like a tree or anything. There's not stuff like that where this was. It was brush and or something. I don't know. Brushy. You know, there's not a bunch of stuff that's tall. And that's why it was kind of like, you know, seeing that was just, where did you come from? What the hell was that? Yeah. Okay, that's me. I'm not insane.
No, other people have seen these. No, especially around here. I mean, you were on 89 between Delavan and Whitewater, right?
I was about, well, because I was trying to figure out where exactly. I know it was like near town, something town road.
Town line or something.
I know things more by minutes. I was about 20 minutes from home, so about 20 minutes from Whitewater.
From Whitewater, okay. Because
about that far
the
out.
Beasterbury Road's been seen about, well, Delavan is the next town over from Elkhorn. So it's been seen in Elkhorn, but that was in the 90s mostly.
Okay.
But they're still around. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know where they come from, if they come from another dimension, if they are just here.
Well, and I don't mean this to sound crazy, but it's like this thing just appeared. Like it was just,
Oh, really?
like, you know, and
Yeah.
it was like, where did that come from?
So did you,
It's not like you're driving along the road and you can see it ahead of you.
oh, you didn't?
No, not like, it's not like you can see it like ahead of you in the ditch or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and it wasn't that dark. You know,
Right.
It was like afternoon, you know, dusky stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, so that's what I think too, is like, where did that come from? It's like it just popped up. It was that fast.
So it didn't come from, you didn't see it come from the ditch or anything, or
No,
the
I
woods,
didn't.
or,
Well, and it's not like if you're driving down a road where you can see ahead of you and sometimes see something in the ditch ahead of you. It was not like that at all. It was like seeing movement out of your,
okay,
out the window like that
okay.
and going, where did that come from? That's, I think, what freaked me out more. It was like, where did that come from that fast? So,
Didn't freak you out that it was pacing you, huh? On 2 legs yet. I know. I don't think I'd ever get over that. How long did it take you to finally settle down?
oh well, let's just say I didn't want to go back there.
Oh, do you ever now?
I do.
Go that way?
I have to admit that,
Do you watch for it?
yeah.
I would. Yeah.
And then I feel like a little paranoid, and then I kind of go, I don't want to drive down there, you know, like anything near night. I admit it.
Oh, no.
Pretty much like I want bright daylight, so, yeah. So.
And this was about how long ago did you say?
I'm thinking about 8 years ago, because it was when I was first
Okay.
living here, because I was from Minneapolis. And,
So around
Yeah,
2008.
yeah, because I've been coming down here to see my then boyfriend, but I moved down here. It was just shortly after I moved here, actually, so whenever that was.
And
Welcome to Whitewater.
yeah, you should stay in Minnesota, right? and then so, I mean, I hate to ask you all these questions because I know
It's fine.
makes you crazy, but about how tall then do you think it was when it was standing up?
Okay, I'm just making a guess because, like I said, I'm thinking, because if it's from the car, you know, I'm thinking 8, 10 feet out probably from the car, not far from the car.
And it was in the gravel, probably,
It was in, it's in something.
or in
like I said, it
the
was
brush.
brushy.
So it was running in the brush.
It's like stuff there. I mean, it's not like flat, but and, you know, like I said, I'm like driving and go, oh, is that? you know, so it's like doing this. So I'm thinking, and it looked like, you know, like a really tall, like really tall, like it was a really tall man or something. It was, so I'm thinking, I know that sounds crazy, but like 7 feet or something, because it was tall, it was big. It was,
Okay. Do you think it was skinny or heavier, muscular? Do you remember anything at all like that? Just in the impression you had?
And I'm looking partly the shape, and as it ran away, like the shape, the width, as it runs away, it still looked like really long, but with, like, I don't know. Like,
At the waist, you're thinking? Or the back?
Like the whole thing was kind of lean that way. It was
Okay.
all like kind of one side, so it wasn't like it.
Okay.
Like I didn't notice like shoulders or anything like that, but who knows, maybe I didn't notice either. But it's like looking, thinking the width as you run away from the car.
So about shoulder width, maybe?
Bigger,
Your shoulder? Bigger than yours?
than that.
Okay.
Bigger than that.
Okay.
I was trying to like think as when
I know.
out the window. I'd still say, no, like, you know, like, I don't know, like cows or something, you know, they're pretty, you know, like this big, whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger than a dog, though.
Much bigger than
Yeah.
a dog.
Bigger than probably a
dog,
wolf.
Much longer.
Yeah.
Just what for a shape for them off. It's like that.
And when it ran across the road, how long about do you think it took before it was across, like really fast,
Oh,
right?
it was
It's just a
like-
2-lane highway.
Yeah, it
Right.
was, well,
Country
like I
road.
said, I kind of went off a little bit off the road, but when it went in front, I mean, it was fast because I wondered where it was. It was like, and I just went that way, and so it was like probably a matter of like seconds, and it was fast, and it just, but you could still see it as it went away. At least you could see it disappear into whatever it was over there. But it even seemed, as it ran off, it's like it kind of just blended in, and like, I don't know, you couldn't see anything.
Did it?
So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it
But
makes
it was
sense.
that fast. It was a boom, boom, and it's-
I mean, none of it makes any sense, but it makes
It
sense.
doesn't make any
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well-
As I listen to myself, I'm going, all right, I'll go commit myself.
No. Oh, you're not the only one that's seen these. No, truthfully. I mean, I don't know how. Did you get on the internet at all and research anything? After that?
Well, I know that I told Kathy. I know I've told a few of my friends, and
Now, Kathy is with MUFON in
Yeah.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
so she's the secretary, and that's how I met her, and that's how I met you.
and I mean, she believed me because she understands that, you know. And I was thinking,
Don't.
Bigfoot or something. Like, I'm
Okay.
thinking, is that what Bigfoot do? I don't know, because I'd never heard of Bray Beast or whatever.
The
before
Beast of
that.
Bray Road, right?
Yeah, and I had somebody tell me they thought it was, and I don't think they said Dogman, maybe the wolf guy or something like that. And I said, okay. But I'll be honest, most of the people I talked to about with this were kind of like, hey, Laura,
Yeah.
you need more sleep.
Oh, I
so
know.
It was a very, it wasn't like I talked about it a lot. So.
My name is Travis Lund, and I seen a werewolf out here. Well, what was believed to be a werewolf. I don't know exactly what it was, but me and I think it was 6 or 7 of my friends were walking down this road, and we had swords and bows and arrows and stuff. You know, we're trying to hunt this beast or whatever it was, and I had venison that had been unthawed it had been unthawing for a while, so there was blood and everything coming out of it, and I had it dragging on the ground. And we were walking down this road, and we had seen something very large and fast run across from that lake, across the road into the woods, and we took off running. And when we decided to come back, and there it was. We heard sticks cracking, and we looked over there, and there it was standing there.
It was over about right here.
Yep.
Standing on its back legs?
Yep.
And describe it.
Large, very tall, like probably 5-6 foot.
Because I'm 6 foot, so
yeah.
it's as tall as me.
Yeah. And yellow eyes. That's exactly what I seen. Yellow eyes.
Did they glow?
It was more of like a
Reflection.
when I shine the light on it. Like as soon as I kind of shine the light, it kind of like kind of glazed over of yellow.
Did it put its arm up to cover its eyes when you did that?
No, it just stood there, but as soon as I seen that, I was that way.
Did you notice anything else like teeth?
It was more of like a snout. Like it was,
good God. Long?
Pointy ears.
How long was the snout?
Pointy ears. Was it furry? Like did it have
like
a mane?
Like a dog's ears.
Like dog's ears.
And it had really broad shoulders.
I bet it was a dog man. When
No.
was this, Travis? When did you see all this?
2010.
10. Okay.
And what month about? Maybe?
Oh,
Summer, winter?
It was probably around this time because it was pretty chilly out. We had wrapped up in clothing and it was late at night, so. It was
And
pretty
what
cold.
would possess you to drag venison out here?
That's a good one, Jackie.
Well, we had a bunch of venison in our freezer at my dad's house, and we told our mom, and she's like, "Oh, be careful, don't get in trouble by the cops." And we're like, "Oh, we won't." And
But you were actually out looking for like
looking
the
for
dog man.
something.
Yeah.
that's what we
Yeah.
were looking for, and we
Smart
actually
boy.
found it.
Yeah.
Well, my mom was like, "Hey, well, here's a good idea. Take some venison out there and bait it." While all my friends are like, "Hey, just drag it behind you
Yeah.
and everything." And
Perfect.
I'm like, "Oh, so you're gonna tie it to me so I don't, if it catches me, yeah, I'm going with it."
It came from where? It came from the pond.
Yep, it
Right?
was coming this
The
way.
lake.
It was running very fast.
Could you hear it?
Um,
Could you hear it running?
Well, we thought we heard a deer, and it sounded like it was back that ways a little bit more, so we thought it was behind us. We kept checking our backs and everything, but then once we started like walking a little bit more, I had the little flashlight on my head, and I'm shining ahead, and all of a sudden just went right across, and it was just so...
It was on all fours or
Yep,
two?
it was on all fours, and it kind of just ran like this, like...
Galloped a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the key. Yeah.
So, back to, you were out here with the venison. Why? Did you know something was out here? Did you hear something was
Nope,
out
it
here?
was actually...
Because, you're just not going to come out in the woods.
No.
We would.
Fox
Yeah, we
47
would.
News had, on Halloween, they said, here's like a hair-raising story about, and then they had all these Beast of Bray Road,
Yep.
Yes.
all these videos of the guys, having all these encounters with it and stuff.
So then, when it came crashing up here, about how tall do you think it was when it was on all fours? Do you have any?
Probably around this tall.
So what is that? Maybe
3 and a half?
4 foot, 3.5, 4.
color wise?
Like dark black, brown. I mean, it was night out and it was
Yeah,
fast,
of course.
so it looked black to me.
And when it ran across the road, how far did it keep going? Do you think it put on the brakes right there, or
I'm not sure because I was.
you guys were already down at the other corner, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yes, I completely.
Yeah,
I would have
I mean-
been there.
I don't think I've ever ran that fast in my
No.
life.
Did you hear any snarling?
No, when we started, well, my friends were like, "Oh, I don't want to go back there." I'm like, "Come on, you guys, we came out here, we finally seen something that we didn't even know we were gonna see, like."
And now you don't want to
No,
see it
no, no,
anymore.
Yeah, we didn't want to go back, but then I was just like, you know what? Let's just do it. We're gonna stick together. We got these weapons and stuff.
Yeah,
What
you're
else
fine.
can happen?
Yeah, what else?
So we started walking back here, and we got to about, where was it? It was probably about halfway this time, and it was like we started hearing more sticks cracking up above, like up here more.
Up over on this side?
We were probably about where those two white flag marker things are on the side of the road.
Okay, right there.
And we started hearing sticks cracking, so I'm just like, oh, it's, making my hair stand up. So then we kept walking, and we got to about right here again. And I looked over, and there it was, like, standing right, I don't know if it was in between this tree, those trees, or this tree. But it
Right
was
in here?
back a little bit further, and it was.
And there's another lake back there.
Yeah, and it was just standing there.
Standing on its back leg.
Yep.
That's
On its
Store's
hind
leg.
legs.
This is the
What was it covered by any brush?
Yeah, it was back in there a bit. Maybe it was right there because that's about where it looked like it was at.
Right in there.
Yeah.
And could you see its legs?
When it was running, I seen its legs. It looked like a dog's legs, but when it was standing, it was kind of more like in there ways. So all the brush was kind of covering it.
Okay.
I just seen the top, about head and chest, and that's about it. And its shoulders were probably about that wide.
How about its arms?
Did you see it?
Just hair. That's all I seen pretty much.
Do you know about how long they were? Was he holding by his side?
Yeah, he was just standing, just like
just
this,
standing.
just looking at us.
Oh, God knows. It could have been. You sure you saw ears?
Yeah.
Pointed ears?
Pointy ears.
Just like a regular dog's ears, just like a wolf ear.
And a what did you call it?
A
Snout.
snout.
No teeth, though.
Nope. Didn't
And
see
you
any
didn't
teeth
hear
showing.
any growling? or-
Nope.
Even when it saw you, it didn't take a step?
Nope.
Didn't
Not
you?
that I seen of, because
Yeah, because you were
already
gone.
back
So
that way.
kind of like Roadrunner, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And so, and then you guys just left?
Yeah,
or you
we-
came back?
Well, we had been sitting down that way, and then the sheriff came and,
Oh,
kind of busted
yeah,
us.
there you go. He
And
busted
And
you.
we warned him. We said, don't go back there, even if that guy had gone back here with his dog. And
Yeah, they probably don't believe that.
They're not going to believe
No.
it.
no, and
Closed-minded.
the dog was licking up all the blood from the venison. So he's like, "Oh, what's going on? These kids are out here with weapons and stuff. There's
you
an
guys
arrow
are-
laying in the middle of the road, and there's blood and everything."
Yeah.
And so the cop was called, and he's just like, you guys need to get out of here. And we tried telling him.
They're not going to believe it. No, we've done the same thing.
No, but I think it was a really good idea to bring the venison. I always wondered if there wasn't something creepy back here, but
Yeah.
I
Smelled that back here.
it did. And this isn't that far
And
from.
actually, that reminds me. My friends said that they smelled something rotten, and I thought they were just talking about the venison because I was walking ahead of them, but they were like, "No, that's not the venison. It smells like a dead carcass, like something's rotting." And then
Ooh.
I had actually looked it up, and it said that they smell very horrible, like nasty, sweaty. Dirty, like swampy smell, and you can smell it for a long ways away. So I was just like, well,
How much do you think you weighed? About,
Ooh,
just about. I know it's hard to
probably-
know.
180 maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Did he appear skinny to you? Waist wise? Like
Yeah.
not the shoulders, but
It
maybe
was.
the waist?
It was very. The waist was like it more like towards the chest was real bulky, but the waist was kind of like real skinny, and then the hips kind of got wide. It was,
And when you saw it running up the hill from the lake here, what did you think it looked like at first? What did you think it
I
was?
thought it was a deer because deer run and crack sticks, and I'd never expected what I saw to be running across the road, and I thought it was a deer. But then I was like, "That's not a deer. Deer don't run like that. I go hunting. Deer don't run like that."
No.
And it definitely deer don't stand about that tall either. So
Oh my God, I would have
and
died.
aren't black and hairy. And,
Yeah, and have pointy ears.
Yeah.
And have you been back since then here?
I mean, I've come out here before with my friends and stuff during the day, but I won't come out here at night.
Yeah, see. I'm not sure what we're talking about here. It almost sounds like a Dogman more than especially the way you said it was running and, well,
Yeah.
of course,
So
the
the-
ears.
That's what
Yeah.
creeped me out the most is the way it ran.
Like
It was more of,
Loping?
and it wasn't real fast moving. It was a leap, like
galloping.
like front, rear. It was just,
Galloping across. That's crazy.
and it was fast. So it was as it was leaping, it was just
And you've seen the pictures on the internet of the Dogman.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly what I can see in my head that you saw.
I did see something, and I was driving on Highway 14, Business 14, going into Janesville, and this is over where Wedge's Bar is, and where the golf course is, and Oak Hill Cemetery is there.
Okay.
And an animal ran across the road, and it stopped traffic. It ran, and it was a large animal. I didn't catch the entire thing, and it was on all fours, and it was a reddish brown, and I remember, I don't think it had a tail, but after it was gone, everybody just kind of sat there. Traffic didn't resume immediately again. It was like everybody had to kind of recollect, and I remember thinking about, okay, what the hell did I just see? I didn't see a face. I didn't even see the front portion of it. I saw the hind portion of it. That was when my mind finally registered, because I was behind a car that saw it before I did and whatever, but it was huge, moving quickly, and also it just was not anything I've ever seen. It was clearly not a bear, not a deer, not anything like that, and it left me with such an uncomfortable feeling that, I mean, I still kind of feel a little uncomfortable when I think about it, just because, I don't know, it must have been more traumatic than I realized. I don't know, maybe I saw more of it than I remember, something like that. I don't know, I feel uneasy about it.
And it stopped traffic, so
yeah.
People could let it pass.
Yes.
And did you say before that it was lumbering oddly?
Yeah.
It
was a lumbering sort of a movement, kind of like, I mean, it wasn't like where you know, when you see a dog run, you know, your front paws go and then the back paws go, and it wasn't like that. It was more kind of off to the side, almost.
Like it didn't belong on four legs?
I guess that would be a way to describe it, yeah.
Like it was more used to running on two, maybe?
But it was on four.
Okay.
It was on four, but it was a lumbering, clumsy sort of a movement. It wasn't graceful. It was fast, but
Did you notice the back legs?
Yes.
Were they shaped like a dog or
you know,
a man or a
Vic
bear?
Kundiff asked me the same question. I do remember them being shaped like a dog's leg, okay?
Okay.
But that's not the feature that sticks out the most to me. The feature that sticks out most to me is like the ass end of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for that is because it was clearly, like, you could see the musculature of this thing. And as it moved, it was very clearly a powerful animal. And it wasn't, you know, there wasn't a resemblance to anything I'd ever seen before. That was what really caught my attention, more so than the shape of the leg. I remember the leg being a dog-shaped leg. Now, having said that, that's not the part that sticks out the most to me.
Okay. And then, about how high do you think the back end of it was?
I mean, I was behind an S10, and now the S10 was on the road. The animal had then started to already make its way into the woods on the other side, which involved kind of going upwards a little bit, but the animal was higher than the S10.
Oh gosh. Was it headed towards the cemetery or
Yes.
towards... Okay, so it was headed towards Oak Hill.
Yes.
Right, okay. And did you say before that it kind of... You should have been able to see it take off up into the cemetery, but it kind of just more like disappeared? Because you thought you'd be able to watch it run up into the cemetery?
Well,
Do you remember it?
see, now the thing about this is that it was starting to get dark. It was late winter at the time, so like I guess I should have been able to, because like there were no leaves on the trees, but it's thick there, you know, thick with woods there.
Right.
So I guess I don't know. I have never really, I didn't get the feeling that it cloaked or vanished or disappeared or anything like that.
Okay.
But it disappeared in the sense to where I couldn't see it anymore, but I don't know. I mean, that's explainable by it going into the brush of the woods or whatever.
Okay.
But at the same time, once it was out of sight, everybody just sat there. That's one thing that strikes me too, is that everybody who was there and witnessed that was in shock for a second. Clearly, because traffic sat for 5-10 seconds, something like that, longer than, you know, if there's ducklings crossing the street, everybody stops. As soon as that last duckling is almost out of the way, you're starting to inch forward again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not in this case. Everybody just sat.
It's true. There is no scientific evidence that werewolves exist. However, there are hundreds of eyewitnesses who report seeing similar creatures all across Wisconsin.
It stands up, goes back to me, totally black and massive.
I said, man, this ain't no bear. It was the biggest wolf we ever seen, man. The head on this thing was about 3 foot wide.
So I said, this animal tried to attack us for no reason whatsoever.
This thing has gotten a hold of the car and it's shaking the car.
It's in the woods. It's safe. Instead, it turns completely around, sees us, and starts charging.
It's just a matter of time before the truth is revealed, and the North American Dogman Project will be there to document the moment.
This was a nightmare. Completely unexpected nightmare.